Hello, everybody. I just wanted to take just a minute of your time just to share with you how I lost over 100 pounds this past year. And unfortunately, my weight was way out of control. The most that I ever weighed, confirmed by a doctor, was 437 pounds. The last time I went to visit my doctor, which was about a month or so ago, I was down to 337. So, if I could lose down to 237, I'll be a happy camper. But I know this is an issue a lot of people struggle with, and they say it's different for men, that men can lose weight a little easier, and to be honest, I'm inclined to agree. But my problem was that I was severely addicted to sugar. Most people are not aware of just how addictive sugar is. I've read some studies that said that sugar is as addictive to a person as heroin. So, when you're addicted to something, there's a simple way to find out whether or not you're addicted to it or not. If you're constantly craving sweets, that's the addiction, and it's causing you to crave sugar in any form, whether it be sodas, whether it be food, snack foods, cakes, candies, pie, you name it. And so the more you feed that addiction, the stronger the hold gets on you, and the more addicted you become. And food companies realized this a long time ago, and so they don't care about your health. They care about your money. They want your money. So, and I read a study not too long ago that they actually they're putting 10 times more sugar in it than they did 10 years ago. So, and that's because they come to realize if they can get you hooked on that sugar, you'll keep coming back and buying their cereals. Cereals, of course, is most cereals, not all, but most cereals are loaded with a lot of sugar. So the first thing I did, now, me being a Christian, I prayed. That was the very first thing I did. I said, God, now, I don't believe it's your plan for me to be morbidly obese like this. God, of course, when you're that big, just getting up, going to the kitchen to get a glass of something to drink is exhausting. So, I was tired all the time, which, fed into all the, I didn't want to get up, so I became less active, and all of a sudden it was a labor of love to lean over to the arm of the sofa to get the remote. So that was the first thing I did. I prayed and I asked God to give me the strength to overcome, and sure enough, He did. And so from that point on, literally from the moment I prayed that one prayer, and I just talked to Him just like I'm talking to y'all. I just laid it out on the on the table before God, and I said, all right, God, this has been my problem, but I give it to you. And so He took it and ran with it, and from that point on, as I began to watch how much sugar I was ingesting. To be honest I've always been a big drinker. I've always drank more than I eat. And so, of course, as you get older, it catches up with you. I was drinking at least 2,000 calories a day when I actually started doing the math and adding it all up on top of what I was eating. And so I actually got up to, I think it was 68-inch waist. I'm telling you, I was huge. And so, but anyways, God gave me the grace to just, and if you read about sugar withdrawal, you can actually do studies of it online. It takes 6 weeks to break the addiction. And, and so I couldn't quit cold turkey. I began to, limit myself to either a can of soda or a medium-sized glass of sweet tea. And even with the sweet tea, I began to reduce the amount of sugar that I was making, because whenever I would make sweet tea, I made sweet tea now, I'm telling you. So, but as and so I wouldn't notice the gradual decline in the sugar. I started just putting a scoop less or half a scoop less each time I made the tea. And so that way, my taste buds didn't notice it, but my body, of course, began to respond. And so the weight began to fall off. And so, eventually I was putting like eight heaping scoops. And then I went down to 7 regular scoops, not heaping, but just 7 regular. And so that cut out a lot of sugar. So that helped. And so, then, the weight just began to fall off me, to be honest about it. I didn't start exercising until I think about a month later. I had lost a good bit of weight within that first month, like 30 pounds. Yeah, it's a lot. And so, I didn't feel well. I have to tell you, when you're also one of the things that I read about with sugar addiction, when you're coming off of it, you become quite volatile. And I found that to be true. Unfortunately, of course, I did warn my roommate. I said, look here, I believe I'm addicted to sugar. I'm going to try and break that. And I want to let you know that everything I've read says that when you try to get off sugar, you become extremely volatile. So, and, and emotional. And so I'm telling you, yeah, I kind of went up a few times, like a volcano. But, my roommate understood and thanked me for warning them. And so, so they were willing to overlook it. And so before you try breaking sugar addiction, you might want to warn your entire family and all your friends and all your coworkers, hey, I need to warn you about something. I'm going to try and get off sugar. And from what I understand, it makes you quite mean and nasty sometimes. So anyways, but like I said, God gave me grace to come through it. Also, as I was losing the weight, I found that I was just under the weather a lot. When you start losing weight and even in any kind of capacity, your body chemistry changes. And so, I had quite a number of days where I was just, I woke up and something was wrong and couldn't tell what. You just kind of feel under the weather, but can't really put a finger on exactly what it is, or exactly, you can't really explain how you feel, just under the weather covers it, so that was where I was a number of days. But God give me grace to get through that as well. And I'm so thankful he did. And anyways, but I just began to taper off. And then after like a month, actually, I think it was like a month and a half, one day by that time I had lost so much weight, I just woke up and I felt so fantastic. I said, I'm going to go for a walk today. And so I learned something very, very interesting. About exercise. I actually started out that day, and it is exactly, the block that I live on is exactly a half a mile around. When one time around my block is a half a mile, so 2 is a mile. And so I have some secrets that, that really helped me as far as staying in the routine of walking, getting in that mode of exercise. That I'll share with you in another video. But anyways, like I said, so far, I have to tell you, when I was at my biggest, it was a good while past that, and I still kept gaining weight, and even the 68 size pants, I was outgrowing. So I really kind of felt like I was closer to 450 by the time I actually started losing weight. So, but like I said, I'm down to, last time I went to my doctor, let's see, I believe that was back in November, which is actually maybe a couple months ago. I was down to 337, and I'm sure that I've lost some since then because I've already had to go down 2 more pant sizes. So I bought a new pair of jeans after that. And I had them for 3 weeks. And then next thing you know, I had lost weight on them. And I had lost so much weight, I was having to walk around pulling my pants up. And so, I had to start wearing those pants with a belt. I thought, well, I just bought these and paid $50 for them. I'm sure not going to throw them out just yet. And that's the one bad consequence about losing all this weight, is you go down in sizes and all of a sudden you have to start, with the expense of buying new clothes. And so anyway, so that's where I've been. It is actually January 2015 right now. So I'm actually hoping that by this time next year, I will have lost another 100 and will be down to 237, which is where I will stop. My ideal weight for my height is 205. I've always been skinny my whole life up until, I reached my 30s, my early 30s. Nobody ever tells you this, but just so you know, if you haven't reached your early 30s yet, by the time you do, your metabolism will come to a screeching halt. And so it will become a labor of love to lean over to the arm of the sofa to get the remote. So anyways, but be forewarned, make sure you got a good exercise routine by the time you reach your 30s, because it happens to us all. And everything. So, but anyways, like I said, feel free to comment below. And also feel free to watch the other videos about how I talk about how I eased my way into an exercise routine. It's very important. You know, people say, "Oh, I start a exercise routine and I just can't hold to it." And well, that's why. I can tell you why. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're more than likely you're just going about it all the wrong way. So if you watch some other videos, I'm going to explain in that more detail. But until then, I hope you lose lots of weight this week. Here's looking at you. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.